Okay, very good. I think it's just about time to get started. Once again, my name is Scott Whitlock, and I lead Ephesoft's worldwide partner organization. Very glad that you joined us for our 2022 spring Ephesoft product update. Joining me today from Ephesoft are various leaders from our product team, as well as, sorry, I thought I was muted, just double checking. Joining me today from Ephesoft are various leaders from our product team, as well as a guest appearance by Keith Haas, our Director of Professional Services. As we progress through the call today, I really encourage everyone to ask questions or leave comments using the Q&A feature. I also encourage everyone to respond to the polling questions that we'll ask throughout today's meeting. Your feedback as partners is absolutely critical to our path forward, and it's used to validate and determine our direction. As for an agenda, we're going to go deep into Ephesoft Transact and the upcoming spring release. We are also going to show details on the new semantic AI engine that will be added to Transact in the very near future. After that, we're going to discuss Ephesoft Labs and how partners can contribute and also utilize some pre-built assets to speed up your project deliveries. And finally, we're going to discuss hyperautomation and how intelligent document processing is becoming to be seen as the next inflection point to driving better and quicker and more effective client outcomes. At the very end, as we always do, we'll do some Q&A, so feel free to ask any questions that you may have. So first, at the beginning of all these meetings, we must do something called Safe Harbor, so let me get that out of the way. The product updates that we're going to discuss today are directional in nature. Should not be viewed as firm commitments. World events, customer demand, partner demand, or other market conditions could force us to delay and or change these plans. So please keep these in mind as we proceed. So first, let's discuss and start with 2021, just to provide a backdrop of how Ephesoft and our global partners executed. So a couple key stats. In 2021, Ephesoft signed up 189 brand new customers. Those are new customers that we had no relationships with that purchased our software for the very first time. 113 of those purchases were cloud. So we're seeing, and we have continued to see this slow adoption into cloud and away from on-premise purchases, and we expect that to continue. Over 80% of all of those deals were closed through partners just like yourselves. That's an increase of roughly 15% versus 2020. So I joined Ephesoft in early 2020 with a mission of really trying to educate more partners and do more to really evangelize our solution. And we're starting to see with that 15% uptick, we're starting to see those efforts pay off. And I really think that's going to continue moving forward. And on top of that, 88 existing customers increased their subscriptions because they wanted to use Ephesoft for more than the original reason. So the land and expand strategy is real and it does work. Customers buy us for one project, they like the results, and they will move us into different areas within their enterprise. Again, I really think that's going to continue, and it's probably going to accelerate moving forward due to some of the strategies that we're going to discuss here today. But let's discuss what is really specifically selling. And to be honest, this is a really long list, but this is the beauty of Ephesoft Transact. It's a single platform, as you know, that partners can use to build solutions on across entire vertical markets or enterprises. So if you want to specialize in healthcare, for example, being an expert in records or admissions, results, and claims is a great place to start. And here's why this is critical. And this is something that we've noticed over the last 18 months while we analyze all of our sales data. The partners that are selling the most are indeed the partners that become subject matter experts in specific workflows or industries. So simply being the capture company or the OCR company, while in years past that may have helped you, we're seeing a shift to where it's use case specific specialists that are really winning more deals. And one of the reasons, as I've interviewed those partners, it's become pretty obvious. Buyers want quick outcomes, they want expertise around a workflow, and they want predictable results. So specializing in these very specific workflows and outcomes has become an asset to several partners. And to that end, we want to help you define your targets and your expertise. So my team is very, very eager to work with partners that are interested in aggressively targeting use cases to become specialists. To set up time to talk, contact any one of the Ephesoft reps in your region, your partner manager, or you can simply email partnersales@ephesoft.com and we will find the appropriate person to talk to. But this is a critical strategy, I believe, moving forward as the world of quick outcomes are really mandated by buyers. Next up is a plug for our ever-evolving partner portal. Already containing dozens of marketing pieces and videos that have been downloaded hundreds, if not thousands of times by our global partners. We're embarking on a new mission now to help drive even more value. With cooperation from Ephesoft's training team, we've kicked off a new design and a new series of training elements that will guide partners through services execution and delivery, proper tech support, and clear guides and aids to improve the customer lifecycle. All in all, these elements will help you build stronger bonds and outcomes with your clients. So as these are developed, stay tuned and we will update you as new assets are available for your use. The last piece for me for now is a reminder on training. As you all know, all Ephesoft partners must have at least 2 employees trained on Ephesoft Transact every year. This does multiple things, but most importantly, it keeps you up to date on what we are innovating with, and it helps you help your customers move down their automation path. So to help ensure all partners train as many people as possible, we've waived all training fees. A few years ago, if you recall, there were fees. Those fees have all been wiped away. So if you have taken the time to sit down with us and come up with a sales plan and a sales strategy for your business for 2022, we're going to waive all of those fees. And this means that you can add intelligent document processing to your arsenal to the front end of all of your document-centric projects and have confidence that you'll have the knowledge, the tools to create solutions and connect systems to better serve your customers. Again, to take us up on this offer or any of these other topics, partnersales@ephesoft.com is the simple email address, or you can contact anybody in your region. So that's my opening monologue. We're going to ask a quick polling question, which I'd love to have everybody respond to before we get into really one of the keynotes here, which is our product team. So bear with me for 1 second. I am going to open up the polling system here, and I'm going to launch it. So polling question number 1. If COVID cooperates and Ephesoft held a 2022 Partner Summit, including workshops and networking with other partners that could likely supplement your business, would you attend live? And again, there's a lot of variables on the location of this and the timing, but just in general, is there interest is what we're going for here. Very good. We've got, see, almost more than half of you have responded so far. That's great. Give it another 10 seconds or so to get your votes locked in. I'll end this. And then we'll get to the good stuff, which is with Josh from our product team. Very good. I will end that poll now and close that. And Josh, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Scott. I love being introduced as the good stuff. Let's see. Hi, everybody. My name is Josh Collins. I'm a senior product manager here at Ephesoft. And for those of you that I haven't met, it's very nice to meet you. I get the pleasure of kicking off our presentation about the 2022.1 release, which is coming up here shortly in the spring. We've got some really exciting features. In fact, we've got so many that we can't pack them all in, but we're definitely going to hit the major themes for you. And our first theme is the Semantic AI Engine. So let's take a look here. I've got a couple of slides that I want to share with you to kind of set the stage for this a little bit. The Semantic AI Engine is brand new in this release, so you haven't had the chance to see it yet, unless you've been to our website and used our AI EphesoftLab.com demonstration application. It's hosted on our website today, actually, and if you haven't been, I encourage you to go take a look. It's a great peek at the Semantic AI Engine and what it can do. It's a brand new technology from our data science team. I shouldn't say brand new, actually, because it's been in the works for a while. If you're familiar with another product of our semantic invoice, then you know that we have been building this AI muscle, if you will, for some time now. And the semantic AI engine coming to Transact is really the fruition of all that work. So what is the semantic AI engine? Basically, it's a brand new technology that's going to really be a game changer for us, we think. It's an AI model, and it works based on vision, by seeing a document, almost like you or I would. And so what we can do is present it a document, and it can look at it and find all we call them keys and values. So the labels and the values, like first name, Josh, on any given form. The magic of all this, of course, is that we don't have to build a model of the form like we've always done in Transact, the traditional approach to IDP. So our semantic AI engine, it comes with a pre-trained model. We can present it any document, and the one we see here on the screen is actually a document in German, if I'm getting that right. This is a multi-language model, as well as a document that is not built on specific doc types. What it can do is look at any document, and it can read it, if you will, and pull out what we call the data of interest, so all the keys and the values that it finds on that document. It's really exciting, and we're going to take a look at some features that we built on top of that engine in this new release. Let's go to the next slide. So just one more staging slide here. What we see possible now with the semantic AI engine is an opportunity to broaden what we can do. If you think about what's been going on in Capture and IDP for forever, then we've really been working with what we'll call known documents. And these are the documents that we have and that we can model, right? You know that you need a form and you need to know what it's going to say before you can use it in Transact. But we're making a leap now to a world where we can start to deal with unknown forms that we've literally never seen before. And as we do that, we've got this adaptive universal AI that's our powered engine here. Let's see, we can work across any different document type. We can do this in multiple languages. And we can really start to decrease the time to value for people using Transact by getting them started much more quickly. And we're going to be able to handle some new use cases that weren't possible before. Let's take a look at those on our next slide. So we put together some big use cases that we see as possible now, and I'm sure you'll discover more as you start to use the product. The ones we wanted to tell you about were these four. The first is this idea that we call exploration. So given that you don't have to, well, let's think of it like this. Think of a content management system, maybe an acquisition system in a company where somebody has just a large group of documents and they don't quite know exactly what they are. The problem, of course, for Transact is that you can't build a model of each of these documents if you don't exactly know what's in the, say, content management system, this trove of documents. So there's this exploratory process that people ask us for help with, where they want to almost crack open this group of documents to learn what's there. And we see this is now possible because with Transact and with the semantic AI engine, we can run those documents through. We can opportunistically really discover what those documents are about by extracting all that data of interest. Another idea we've got is this idea we call simple document extraction. And it's kind of the scenario where it's like, I already know what I want. Why do I, let's go back to the other slide if we could, thank you. If I already know what I want, why do I actually have to go build a model of this document? If I'm looking just for, say, an ID or a phone number or something obvious like that, we can now get you out of the business of building the model of the document up front. And because you already know the name of the field that you want to query, it'll just be in the results for you. So again, shortening that time to value for using Transact. Another idea we're looking at is called supporting or perhaps trailing documents. And the scenario here is that sometimes you have some documents that you can model. Imagine, for example, a situation where somebody needs to prove an address, right? So you have a new customer situation and they need to prove an address. You probably have a form already that you can model for the new customer, but the proof of address could be come in any form. It could be a bank statement, it could be utility bill or something. And so you don't quite know exactly what's going to be there, and therefore you can't model it. But again, the universal document here can help us through that situation. And finally, we know that sometimes people want to use Transact, and they even have the documents and they're known documents to them, but there's simply just so many of them that the cost and the time to configure with this high number of documents or even a high number of fields per document can be prohibitive. And so I think we can start to adjust that equation now by modeling the most important ones in the traditional sense, and then using the universal document idea to extract the data of interest from the others and get started faster. So the next slide. So digging a little more deeply into this idea that we call universal document processing, it works like this. I'm going to use the workflow slide that you're familiar with here from Transact. The idea is that we're ingesting documents just like you would in any situation in Transact, through a shared folder, through a scanner, whatever it might be. And when it comes time to classify, and in fact, we're not classifying at all. What we're doing is using this idea of a universal document, and we're going to say they're all universal. We have a new plugin now in Transact that will be used for the extraction, and it will ultimately make a call out to this semantic AI engine that I've been talking to you about. That's why we say that this new feature, this universal document idea, sort of is built on top of the semantic AI engine. And then once it returns its results, we will deliver those in all the ways that we currently deliver results through batch.xml and other export processes. And it's going to be what we call data of interest. And so again, it's those keys and the values that our semantic AI engine has been able to pull out of the documents that came in. So with that idea of universal document processing, let's take a look at the next slide. And I'm going to introduce another new feature now that's again built on top of the semantic AI engine. This one's a little different. Let's see, if the first was trying to look at new use cases and discover ways that we could deal with unknown documents, this one goes back really to the traditional idea of modeling a document inside Transact. But what we want to do here is simplify that process. And so we know that building a batch class and building the document types for that batch class can take time. And the effort of setting up the index fields and the rules is no small challenge. But luckily, we do have that training that Scott was telling you about earlier. And so what we want to do here is, through this document type accelerator, is introduce a way that we can have you simply drag a document in, and we'll basically do everything we can to build it for you. Let's take a look at the next slide here. It's the same idea, just a little more visual. So I've got the simplest document I could think of. It's got 3 fields, an ID, a date, and a name. And we've built a new drop zone, basically, just in the batch class designer area of Transact. And I can simply just drag that document into my box. And you can see that Transact will now build me a new document type. This one's called sample doc, and it's got the 3 fields, the ID, the date, and the name. We're going to build these fields in such a way that they're ready to go. And I'm not saying that they'll be ready to go and they'll be ready to use. It's possible that you want to go back and say tighten up regular expressions or do further configuration. But our goal here is to get you into a working state as quickly as possible. And that is our second big feature. In addition to the universal document, the document type accelerator, all of this is built on this new semantic AI engine. And we really hope that these ideas can help you get started faster and use Transact more. So let's take a look at the next slide here. And I'm going to pass this over to Walter.
Thanks, Josh. So hi, everyone. My name's Walter. I'm a product owner with Transact. And we're going to go over a little bit about what we offered in 2021-05, where we introduced the Cloud Hyperextender with the premium handwriting extraction offering. And the most exciting part of this release was its ability to allow clients to extract handprint and cursive with much better accuracy than anything offered previously. Feedback has been favorable with a few exceptions, one being the difficulty to adopt Cloud Hyperextender because of its limited availability in certain regions and its offering as a cloud-only service. Secondly, was cost. Cloud Hyperextender was built with the original use case of being able to scale performance of Transact without requiring clients to scale their Transact infrastructure. We built it to offload other process-intensive workloads rather than just OCR capabilities. And so it's using a variety of technologies under the hood. And doing so means it has increased costs that we need to pass on to the customer. And this in turn created a barrier to adoption, since many clients, while they did have requirements to extract handwriting, it often was a lower priority compared to cost, or when looking at the volume of machine print they had to process versus handprint, things skewed more so towards machine print. So to address both of these issues, we're releasing the advanced HOCR plugin, which will replace a single plugin that you may see in a workflow, such as RicoStar or the Nuance one. You can think of this plugin as a bring your own Google Cloud Vision endpoint adapter, and it solves the flexibility and cost issue by enabling clients to choose the infrastructure of choice offered by Google and allows direct licensing of the technology from Google, which means direct pricing. And this means that clients have the flexibility to set up Transact with any of Google's 3 flavors of their Cloud Vision document OCR product. They can choose the standard endpoint across any number of regions. They can choose the on-premise Anthos offering endpoint, or they can even choose the FedRAMP version of the solution. So you're getting a lot of flexibility in the infrastructure deployment, and you get a cheaper premium add-on cost to the overall solution. Next slide. So here's a preview of the advanced HOCR plugin. The design language is similar to Semantic, and it showcases a move towards Angular UI development. You'll see that the advanced HOCR plugin is intended to be a bridge to future advanced OCR engines. You see that first selection, it says Google Cloud Vision, but we could potentially scale this to other OCR engines, such as Textract or Azure. We can even scale it to maybe an elastic compute version of RicoStar, or maybe we want to scale it to a very language-specific OCR engine. I know that Tencent in the APAC region offers something for Asian languages. So setup is minimal. After you set up your endpoint, you're just going to add that endpoint information, which again could be a standard endpoint or from the other many flavors that Google offers. And then you just add an API key, language hinting if required, and you're good to go. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to hand it back off to Josh to talk a little bit about iPaaS connectors.
Thank you, Walter. I know we're seeing more and more handwriting, so bringing handwriting into the core of Transact is going to be very valuable. Okay, here's something that Scott and I have been working on quite a bit. Let's see. At Ephesoft, we've been tracking the trend, well, really across businesses everywhere, towards what's been called hyperautomation. And this is the idea that that businesses are really using and even going beyond, what I think we once called RPA, and that's certainly still a part of it. But this trend of hyperautomation takes RPA and bundles in it with it an important layer for these iPaaS systems that we're going to talk about, and even APIs, and almost anything, honestly, that you can use to automate business processes. And so one of the things that we are beginning to do for the first time in this release is release some connectors for Transact that bring us into this world of iPaaS systems. And the two that we're starting with are MuleSoft and Workato. So what's wonderful about these iPaaS systems is that they provide quick connections to a long list of ERPs, content management systems, databases, and really everything else, from Slack and email to hundreds of systems, honestly, that can be connected. And as of now, Transact is one of them too. So what becomes possible here, and I bet you can see it already, is as documents are flowing through these business processes, the problem that Transact is designed to solve, how do you take these documents and extract the data from them, is crucial. And so we believe that plugging Transact into these business workflows is going to be important for all the reasons that we know Transact is important already. So again, MuleSoft and Workato are the first two iPaaS systems that we're plugging into. These connectors are going to be distributed directly through the marketplaces for both MuleSoft and Workato. And although we're releasing this as part of our 2022.1 release, the truth is these work with prior systems of Transact as well. So it's not as if you have to be running 22.1 for them to release. Most recent versions of Transact are going to work great with these iPaaS connectors. Let's take a look at the next slide. And so to return to this workflow diagram that you've seen before, I'm sure, I tried to include everything that you know already, with the scanners, the folders, the emails, and all the different steps, and then just simply try and show you where the iPaaS connectors for MuleSoft and Workato are going to fit. And basically, you could think of them as new options for import and export. And so, feeding Transact with documents, MuleSoft and Workato are going to be great for that as well. By the way, it works in the other way as well. We believe that Transact, with all of its import features already, would be a great way to feed these iPaaS systems as well. So you could use Transact as the starting point, or you could use it in the middle by using MuleSoft and Workato as a way to bring documents into your business flow. And then MuleSoft and Workato and any iPaaS system, honestly, as we grow, are going to be great ways to export content and deliver it from Transact to the next stage in your business process as well. So I just wanted to kind of show you how they work as bookends to the Transact that you already know. And with that, we go back to Walter.
Thanks, Josh. So now that you've seen some of the future technologies we're leaning into and moving towards, let's go over some of the housekeeping improvements. First, with the upcoming release, we wanted to address the difficulty of having a library of KV extraction rules for a given index field, and being able to understand which one of those rules led to poor extraction. We want to be able to give the Bash class designer the ability to quickly find the rule and refine it. And some of you know that it could take quite a bit of time to do that. And so one utility that we built in, will make that task much simpler. And we're allowing a rule ID to be put into that batch instance XML so you can quickly find that rule and make correction to it. Secondly, we wanted to make it easier and reduce the manual workarounds that some have to go through when ingesting PDFs that are of XFA type. So we're expanding our folder import capabilities, and we now have the ability to flatten PDF XFAs out of the box. And lastly, we expanded certification for Microsoft SQL 2019 and Red Hat 8.4. So that should satisfy requirements for newer infrastructures out there. Next slide, please. And then a quick recap for those of you who might have missed out on the 2020.1.06 that was released at the end of last year. Here's a quick summary. In that release, we expanded certification for Oracle 19c, Red Hat 7.9. We also had some rather large efforts around security so that we can meet some FedRAMP compliance initiatives. And lastly, if you were on Linux, we expanded RecoStar capabilities significantly. And so if any of those items are attractive to you or your clients, that's something to investigate further. Back to you, Josh.
Sorry, did it again. Before we wrap up, I just want to take a second and remind everybody that the partner preview program that will start on March 28th. You should have received an email by now, but if you haven't, there's certainly still time and space for you to enroll. What we want to do is host Transact for you on our cloud so that you can get an early look at it before the general release. We've told you about a lot of exciting features, and we're sure that that you're curious and want to learn more. So what we're going to do is provide some videos and provide access to the system and help you learn about the universal document, about the doc type accelerator, and about advanced handwriting plugin. In fact, the system will be the full release of Transact. So although we're trying to focus on those new features, anything that you want to explore in the new release will be available. And you can bring your own content to test things out. So remember that March 28th we start. It'll go through most of April and then close before the general release of Transact in May. And with that, that's the last of our product slides. So I'm going to turn it back over to Scott, who's got a poll for us.
Yeah, great stuff, Josh and Walter. Thank you very much. A lot of great innovation coming and a lot of great additives to add for our partners to gain some velocity, I think, with the way they deliver solutions to customers. The hyper automation, the iPaaS thing, we're going to talk a little bit more about right after we talk through Ephesoft Lab. But first, you're right, let's do a second polling question. Hit launch here. So just a general curiosity, if you will, of Ephesoft and the sales organization. What is preventing you from using Ephesoft in more of your end-to-end process workflows? You can select as many as you'd like here, but we're just trying to get a good test gauge on what goes into your decision matrix when you choose solutions. This question has a few more words than the last one, so I'll give you an extra 30 seconds here to digest it. Again, choose as many as you think apply to your day-to-day life. All right, good. I see it's tallying up. We'll give it another 10 seconds here. All right, I am going to click end poll. Thank you very much for your participation in that. We are now going to move over to Mr. Keith Haas, our Director of Professional Services, to go through Ephesoft Labs.
Thank you, Scott. Name is Keith Haas. I run the professional services globally for Ephesoft. And one of the things that we've been focusing on in the last few months is to see what we can do from repositories, from Red Action, security toolkits, bash classes. I mean, anything that we can do to make the implementation of the Transact, and even a little bit in the past with Semantic, make it easier. And so what we did is we had Ephesoft Labs before, but it wasn't really public and we weren't really focusing what was there. And we're starting to roll it out to show what we have been putting out there, and then hopefully in the future may go into the product itself. So we have some integrations out there with Nintex. We have integrations with Blue Prism and as well with Workato. We have accelerators out there. We have some batch classes. And what we'd really like to do is to keep on increasing the number of implementation or the number of repositories we have out there in order to make your implementations go faster. So please reach out to Ephesoft.com, Ephesoft Labs down there, that link. You do need to be member of GitHub, and then you will be able to access, I think we have right now 15 repositories, and we'd like to at least double to triple it by the end of the year. One of the things that we're focusing on, if you go ahead and go to the next page, is that we have, like, for example, we have the hot swap restart plugin for Transact, which is written by Alexander Gation, and he is one of our partners out there at Adesso. And what it does, it allows you to reload source code without actually restarting Transact, which basically it saves time when you're actually adding these plugins. We also have from our team, we just added one, and that was for S3. We have an S3 export plugin, and that will allow us to export documents and the associated metadata from Transact to S3. We have a bunch out there, so please reach out, take a look, see what's out there, and we would really like to have your contribution as well, because this is kind of a community where if every person submits maybe one thing and we have 100 people doing it, that is really going to take off, and it'll make this product even better for both for the partners and for our clients. And that is it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Keith. And one thing that partners will see over the course of this year and into next are incentives that would give you more reason to contribute to Ephesoft Labs. Keith used the word community. I really view it that way. There are partners of ours around the world that are solving great problems, and quite frankly, some really want to share what they've learned and what they've built. And so we want to give them a path and an avenue to do exactly that. And on top of all that, it should and will become a lead source for you in the future as our marketing campaigns kick up and buyers come to our website and they look at the labs. They will look for connectors. They will look for solutions to help them select which partner to go with. And this is a good avenue for you to
exactly. And yeah, it's also, you know, our goal is that we be able to filter it by region, be able to filter by industry. So that's really where we're trying to get to here in the next couple of years. But it's starting off right now. So we would really like to see you guys be part of it. So.
Good, appreciate it, Keith. Thank you. So let's move back into a word that Josh used earlier. He used the term hyperautomation. I'm going to guarantee every one of you on this call knows and has heard that word before. So I'm certainly not going to insult anyone's intelligence, but I do want to explain why you are going to see Ephesoft's marketing teams really aggressively going after this market, using this terminology, increasing thought leadership around hyperautomation. And so just for laughs, just to level set, hyperautomation is a term that was coined by Gartner. This is not anything that any one company made up. It's an analyst that has been following this market for years. And it involves the orchestrated use of multiple technologies in an effort to automate business processes, pure and simple. 99% of the time, it's partners like you that are designing those workflows, building the connectors, doing QA, driving the outcomes, and really putting all of the pieces together. And the revenue potential, and this is not my number, this is the Gartner number, is $540 billion by the end of 2022. I would love 10% of that. I'll settle for 1% of that. So we want to aggressively really tackle this market. There are a number of different statistics out there saying that 80% of these workflows have documents inside of them. So just kind of lends itself to there's opportunity out there, and we should all be going after it. To share more of what Gartner has said, in their estimation, and this is really kind of reinforced with conversations that we're having with our partners, RPA experimentation, the great marketing campaigns of RPA companies was really great. I mean, it fostered an automate first mindset. I'm sure every one of you sees it with your customers, trying to automate every single thing that they possibly can. But because bots were so marketed for just about every automation, the outcomes were great. There were bots being applied to workflows when something else might have done the trick. So we actually have partners and customers saying, you know, people were using hammers when a screwdriver probably would have been better. And so, in other words, there is no one tool approach to automation. And so, what we've seen is bots maybe being overused just a little bit, and it led to some of this failure rates. And so, let's take a look at just one very, very simple example. A company receives an insurance application, and the document enters Ephesoft Transact, where the typed and handwritten data is extracted, the documents are classified, and we do what we do, right? From there, the data flows to the customer's iPaaS broker of choice, where all of their authentication and governance models are applied before the data is then sent to a repository, another workflow tool, an ERP, a CRM, et cetera. This is where we see a large segment of this hyper automation, massive market heading. Bots will never be replaced, and we certainly don't want them to be. They have a very good purpose within hyper automation. But I believe that you're going to start to see interoperability and APIs, such as we're talking about with MuleSoft and Workato, being the mechanism for velocity, to where data can flow to its destination by itself instead of having to be placed there by a human or a bot. And so that's why you're hearing a lot of this today around becoming a specialist in a specific workflow or market. Those that really nail these workflows and have the correct tools in their toolbox are going to win the most clients. You're going to be able to satisfy your customers much faster if you're not building 1,000 connectors. If you've got these toolboxes or these tools to help you deploy faster. And by the way, those yellow stars that you see all over this slide, those are all areas where partners make money through configuration, charging for services, doing maintenance, or things like that that they have to do to make the workflow operate. So while you're delivering things faster, you should not look at it as, hey, we're going to lose professional services hours if we do this because we're not building connectors. You're going to get more business, and you're going to move on to workflow 2 and 3 and 4 within that enterprise, because you're taking a 6-month project and boiling it down to 2 months. And so they're going to see that they're going to have more dollars to spend. So that's my take on it. That's our take on it. That's how we are dissecting, and that's how we believe the market is headed. And again, validated by a number of our different partners. So our belief, just to recap this, is if you design repeatable automations and use quick connectors, you will grow faster than those that do not. Here is a very short list of some of the connectors that we have our eyes on. We've mentioned MuleSoft. We've mentioned Workato. We've got things going on with Microsoft. We've got partnership about to be launched with Pegasystems. All of these things and all of these marketplaces will be activated, and you will have the ability to use these for your deployments. And so that's really my spiel on iPaaS and hyper automation. It's a huge target, and I'm really excited about attaching to it and becoming really, my little mantra is the most buildable IDP platform on the market. And we're really excited to take that journey with you. So I'm going to stop there. I can go on that topic for hours, but let's do something more entertaining than that. And let's do polling question number 3. Let me launch this. Okay, so we talk a lot about being specialists and really getting really specific about your workflows. If Ephesoft offered you hands-on assistance to build a batch class and help you build a story and a narrative around your expertise, would you be interested? Again, forget the timing aspect of it. Assume there's no cost to this. Just knee-jerk reaction. Is this the kind of coaching that you would like for my partner team and I to embark on with you in diagnosing where you could capture some business? No pun intended by saying capture business. Good. See about half the folks so far vote. We'll give it another 10 seconds here, and then we'll move on to Q&A. Good. I'm going to end the poll there. So let's go to Q&A. I know we have a few folks monitoring Q&A. Gentlemen, what do we have? You're muted if you're trying to talk. We've got one question here. We've got two questions that have come in here. I'll read them out loud. One of them is, will the Infor connector be made with the iPaaS connectors? And just for everyone's knowledge, John has answered that question and says the Infor connector will remain as a standalone Ephesoft Transact plugin. So that's exactly correct. So that will be a standalone. The other question that was asked
Hey,
is,
Scott,
yes.
if I could, I just wanted to expand on that a little bit. It's true that in Transact, we already have several point-to-point connectors for content management systems, for Infor and others. And those are going to stay in place. It's not just Infor. All the ones that we currently deliver, we will continue to deliver. But we're adding to that simply with the new connectors for Workato and MuleSoft.
Good. We got another question just came in. Josh or Walter, get ready. This is definitely being thrown in your direction. Will the semantic AI index field be restricted? Can we add custom fields for data extractions, as semantic has restrictions in adding custom fields?
Walter, you might want to help me with this one, but as I hear that question, it sounds like we're thinking about how the semantic invoice product has a certain number of fields that it looks for when it does extraction for a document. So if I got that right, then my answer to you is the semantic AI engine is actually much more general than the semantic invoice system. Of course, semantic invoice was built specifically for invoices, and therefore has a fixed number of invoice-specific fields that it's looking for. The semantic AI engine is far more general. In fact, it doesn't know of any specific fields that it looks for. It simply tries to extract every key value pair that it can find on the document. And so in that sense, you don't have to add new fields because there isn't a fixed list of fields that's being extracted.
I think that's a good interpretation, Josh. That's how I would have interpreted it too. If the user has additional clarity they want to ask, feel free to do so.
Yeah, and it's kind of a big jump too. I certainly understand that, and so that's why I tried to dwell a little bit on the semantic AI engine, because it works pretty differently than what we know today.
So there was another question that you've already answered, Walter, but I'm going to ask a question just for me, and if others might also want to know. Timing on table extraction, where are we in that within the new semantic AI engine?
Yeah, so the new semantic AI engine, as Josh was saying, it focuses primarily on KV extraction and identifying those key and value fields as a pair. So this iteration of the semantic AI engine will still be separate than the ML model that we use in the AI table rule builder, for example. We are still collecting feedback on ways to improve the AI table rule builder, as well as the ML specific table model that lays underneath it. And we're also looking at feedback from other use cases that might help users out there. Josh introduced this idea of the universal KV extraction methodology. And similarly, we'd really like to hear about what do people feel about with tables, and would they be open to a universal table extraction methodology? Or are they more so looking for a conventional extraction process where it's really important to come out with a normalized table or schema at the end where you can predict all the header information across different tables that might be pulled. So we're certainly looking for more feedback, but I hope that answers your question that the two are separate at this time.
Good. We've got another question that came in regarding documentation. I believe I know the answer, but I'll let the experts answer this. How quickly is documentation going to be added for these new features to the documentation site? so partners can get their hands on these new features and understand how to use them very early.
So I think the first way that you'll be able to get your hands on these features and to begin to understand them is through our partner preview program. And like I said, we're going to do some video guides for you that'll be available with that preview to help fully explain how this is working. And this will give you a chance to see the system before the general release. And then, of course, our documentation team is working. In fact, we were just meeting with them today, right, Walter? Is working on the documentation for the release. So they will be documenting the features in the traditional way that we've always done on our docs site. And so that will be available as well. We do expect that to come more in line with the release timeline, though.
And gentlemen, if the partner missed the email regarding the preview release and getting access to that, is there an email address they can send to? Should they contact me and I can get them to you, or how would you like to enable them to get access to the preview release?
Yeah, if they didn't get or didn't see the invite, then absolutely, please reach out to Scott or reach out to me. My email address is joshua.collins@ephesoft.com. I hope it's in the deck, and we will be glad to get you on the list.
Good, perfect. Another question coming in right before the bell here. I'll read it out there. I'll let you guys take a stab at it. To start off on this semantic AI journey, does the user require to train the machine to detect the KV, or does the machine already have a predefined KV and users may modify the classification along the journey?
The users are not required to train the system. We're delivering a pre-trained model here. And again, it's not doc type specific, and it's not even language specific. And this all kind of hinges on the idea that it's what we call a vision-based model. And so let's see, we will be continuing to release new versions of the model with each subsequent release. And so it's going to get better and better over time. But the wonderful thing is that it works out of the box.
So let's throw a hypothetical out there, just based on another question that came in. Let's say a document does go through semantic AI, and something does get missed for whatever reason. Is there a human in the loop that can fix it, and then will the system learn based on that, or is there learning that continues on, or how does that work?
So great question. And because this is part of Transact, right? You've got access to the validation screens today. And so if something was missed or something was inappropriately found during the OCR and extraction process, validation is a way that you can correct it, just like you always have, right? So we got that. And then the other part of the question was, oh, does it learn? And let's see, it's not a what we might call an active learning system, so that each and every time something goes through validation or something goes through an extraction process, the system is getting just a tiny bit smarter. Let's see, there's no good way to do that with the way Transact is running right now, and to also respect the privacy of everybody's documents. We take that privacy very seriously, and we're working on ways that we can both keep the privacy and also introduce that sort of active learning style that a lot of people are looking for. But to be honest, today the training events happen. Like I said, the model's pre-trained, so the training will happen as we release new versions.
Good, very good. We've got a few minutes left. Any final questions? There's very good, lively questions there. Let's see, yeah, it looks like all these have been answered.
We've got a couple coming in right now at the very end here.
Yes, we do. Let's see. That's awesome. That's great. Let's say we've got 500 vendor invoices. No training is required. What rate of accuracy can we expect at a high level? So where do we expect most of the delivery time will be spent?
This is more delivery time in terms of the services. It really depends, right? You have a 500 vendor invoices, but what is the quality of those invoices, right? So what is the rate of accuracy based upon what the high quality, or if it's low quality, if somebody has a coffee stain on it, or if it's handwriting, or, you know, there's a lot of things that go into if that invoice is high quality enough to say that we have a high rate of accuracy as we go through Transact. So if you were to take a look at, actually, the last question is where we expect most of the delivery time. If there's table extraction, it's always table extraction. That's where most of it goes through. But if it gets to be where it is low quality in terms of the invoices coming in, there is quite a bit of time that we have to do, because it's going to be a little more manual to get everything going.
Good. Hope that answered the question. We've got one more here. Any comment? I know this is the product's not even released, right? But what extraction rates are you achieving on the semantic AI engine?
Yeah, we're excited about that. Let's see, we were talking with our director of engineering just recently about this topic. Let's see, because it's, you know, based on the number of CPUs that are being devoted to the engine, I can't give you like an exact number per minute, but I can say that the extraction from the semantic AI engine is every bit as good as we've been getting from Transact. It doesn't slow the system down. Walter, can you add any more to that? I wish I had a number that I could say per minute, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it is an on-premise model, if you missed that, which is really exciting. You know, it tests are comparable to the other extraction methods, but you know, most extraction methods deal with regular expression pattern matching, and most of the processing is actually taken up more so on the creation of that HFCR file. Whereas this process, it runs another type of extraction method at runtime. We're talking specifically about the document accelerator, not the document extraction technique. Like Josh said, we don't have exact numbers, but we should have more of that information upon its release.
You know, Walter mentioned something too, which I don't think I had on my slides, so I just want to make sure I say it for everybody to hear. The semantic AI engine will be available for both cloud customers and for on-premise customers. It does run on-premise. And of course, when we're hosting the software, we'll run it in our cloud. But we know it's important to people, and so yes, for on-premise.
Good, gentlemen. Thank you very much for speaking to our partners today. It is the top of the hour. I know there's a couple questions left. We will respond back to those via email. One thing I do want to point out in the chat, Josh has put the link for the Semantic AI Early Adopter Program. Click that link and you can enroll and get the information you need to get access to that service ahead of time. We sincerely, all of us, appreciate your partnership. Hope you got something good out of today's call, and we want to work with you to really dig in on your use cases and accelerate your business. Please contact any of us. Contact Stephen Lee, who leads our sales efforts out in the region, as much as you want, and we are all here at your command. So thank you very much. Have an excellent day.